Hello, everyone. Happy Tuesday. Gosh, these weeks go by so fast and these months. Oh my goodness. Just one after the other. We're halfway through the year. So our theme this month, if you're just joining us, is all about testing. And we probably should do 30 of these because there's so many tests available, but we're going to try to cover a bunch of testing for blood work. And there's so much available. And Nicole does it all, just so we're clear. And I don't, I do some of it. So I'm saying that to let you to make sure that you don't get stressed out, that do what you can, when you can, what you afford. It's all good. All right. So I'm going to turn it over to Nicole because there's so much. I don't know which one you want to start with today, Nicole, and I'll just chime in when I've done some of that testing to let our audience know, why, first of all, why should we even get any of this testing done, regardless of which one? Why? From you as a nutritionist and menopause expert, health professional, like based on what you've learned, why? Why should we do this testing and not just do what people do when they go for their, maybe annual physical, if they do that?
So, couple things. I would say it's empowering. As a woman, I want to empower women to be their own health guru. So,
Mhm.
when you understand the numbers, and even if, like, typically when you get your blood work done and you're at the medical doctor, it's like your annual checkup, right? Annual checkup. And they do the basics. They're like,
Mm.
yep, everything looks good. So I want women to start thinking about like optimal blood work, not just minimum. My journey of getting blood work done with different doctors over the years was if I was in range within what was the average standard, because that's the range, it's a range based on an average, right? For a man, let's be clear.
Actually, I was going to ask you that for all this testing, if I was to go in and say my husband and I had the same family doctor and we're going to get our blood work done,
Right.
would it be exactly the same for both of us?
I don't know. I'd have to really investigate it a little bit more if things have changed. I know that, like, for example, like if you're testing testosterone for a man versus a woman, there is a range for a woman and there is. So maybe
Okay.
hormones might be different, but from what I understand, like the vitamin D and the iron, that when I've seen Brad's report on his iron, it's the same range as mine.
And
Yeah.
um, oh, I just lost my train of thought. I was going to ask you a question on that. And then even if the ranges are the same, which they shouldn't be, right? Because it's
Yeah.
different for male and female, what they're testing should be different. Like there should be a big focus on all the hormones for women, but
Right.
that's not included, right?
Yeah.
In
Yeah.
your basic testing. So
Yeah.
yeah.
So, yeah, so your question is, I would say, a level of empowerment. And then from knowing your numbers, making sure that you're in optimal range, not minimum range, right? Like I would say, like, do you want to make a minimum wage or do you want to max out on your wage? As an
Right.
example. So I'll use an example. Vitamin D. Vitamin D is a good one. Ranges go from 75 mg all the way to 250. That's the range in Canada anyways of where they want you to be. So as a nutritionist and as somebody that really cares for your health and wanting to be an optimal, if I saw your report and you came to me and you said, well, I'm in the range my doctor's happy, I'm at 77.
Right.
I'm like, I'm not okay with that number. Yes, you're in range, but it's minimum. It's like you're barely getting by.
Right.
Imagine bringing that number up to 200
Right.
and the difference. So that's why I'm saying, like, working with medical doctors are trained a certain way, right?
Right.
They are trained to say, you've got these symptoms, XYZ, and we are going to rule out to find out what's going on.
Right.
So
So
they do some,
they're
right?
doing the best they know how, right? So we can't throw them under the bus.
No,
That's what they're taught. Here's your range for vitamin D. And if your
right.
patient is in that range, they're good. So
They're good.
they're doing what they're trained. Most just haven't gone and done, let's say, extra
Right.
training or specializing in
Yeah.
these different areas, right? And
Yep. Yep.
we have to take responsibility for our own health. So
Exactly. That's why I'm saying, like, I always say, you want to find a good doctor, absolutely, that's
right,
open-minded and you can work with. And then beyond that, I say build the rest of your team, work with a naturopathic doctor, maybe find a functional. The good thing about what happened in the pandemic is a lot of people went online. So there's a lot of like clinics and health professionals now that you can do like telehealth. You might have to pay out of pocket, but there are people out there that now you can get like testing from wherever you are in the world, which is incredible. So,
yeah,
so I would say like some of the important markers, obviously your base blood tests that you get from your medical doctor, but some of the things, especially for women in midlife, because that's what Melissa and I focus on, women in midlife, kind of that perimenopause to menopause and then transition into postmenopause and beyond to keep you in
yes,
the best possible you can right to the end, right to the end. So I would say vitamin D for sure. This is the big pushback that I get is people say, well, I have to pay for it. I'm like, and so, and do it. So vitamin D actually acts as a hormone in our body. It supports so many functions. One of the biggest functions it supports is mental health, brain function.
right,
And I've seen this in clients where they come in, they're below range, they feel depressed, they feel sad, something's going on, they can't get out of bed. All their other markers look good, but vitamin D totally off.
right.
Load them up with 10 to 20,000 IU for a couple weeks, and all of a sudden they start to come around. Oh my gosh, I'm starting to feel better. Like something as simple as that. So I'm using this as an example because sometimes in our blood work, it's small tweaks that can make such a profound difference. Melissa, you have a story about your bead you want to share?
Yeah, sure. So when I work out or whatever, if I bend over and I stand up too quickly, I get a little dizzy. I'm like, whoa, room's moving. I got to hold on for a minute. And I just thought that was normal because I got up too quickly. And when I went and had my live blood analysis done, the girl looking at it, she asked me, "Do you get dizzy when you get up too fast?" I'm like, "Yeah, how'd you know?" She goes, "Oh, because your bees are low." And I said, "What? Really? I just thought that was a normal thing. You just get up
Yeah.
too quick." So I added bees to my regime. And within a few days, that feeling is gone. So now I am so aware of that because sometimes, you get busy, you do forget your supplements, and maybe a couple of days, maybe three go by, and I'm like, oh, I go to the gym and I'm like, oh, I'm dizzy. I haven't taken my stuff. So
Yeah.
simple things that we think are normal are they're common, let's say, but they're not normal. It's not supposed to be like that. And like I said, a simple switch.
Yeah.
And if I could just say something about paying for stuff, especially here in Canada, we've been we've got a healthcare system that pays for those things, right? So we're not used to having to pay out of pocket for stuff like that. But this is what I tell people. You're either going to pay now to keep your health or you're going to pay later to try to get it back. And I can promise you, keeping it is less expensive and less stressful. It's like, oh, I'll just add bees to my thing. Not a big deal. A little bit of expense. I got to buy bottles. I had to get the testing done versus other issues that people have because they don't pay to do that later on. So yeah, a little bit now is so much easier and faster too.
Yeah. Iron, let's talk about iron. This is a big one in women, especially if they are still menstruating and having a cycle. This is
Yep.
a big one. Talking to other health professionals that work with women and mostly women only, this is a marker that they stay on top of is the iron. Ranges on iron are kind of like, again, a big range from like, 7 all the way up to I think like 200. Like the range is really big. You fall under, and I've dealt with this for a long time with even my girls of like, oh, she's fine. I'm like, well, she's at a 7 and the range is like at a 5 for when she was a kid, and they didn't do anything other than, yeah, you might want to supplement. Meanwhile, like she's been passing out at work and I've had to go pick her up. They don't take it as a big deal. They're like, yeah, you could, like, holy
Crazy.
cow, this is major. That means that she's
Life
not getting any
changing.
oxygen to the,
It's life
red blood
changing
cells. Yeah,
for
exactly. So
mood, everything.
So know your iron, especially if you have low energy, you want to rule out iron. And if your iron is low, this is what I will share that I've learned is question why your iron is low. This is the conversation that you need to have with your doctor. Like taking a supplement is fine, but it's like, what's the root cause of why your iron is? So are you not eating enough high iron food? Like, if you are on a plant-based diet versus, a meat diet, maybe you're already supplementing, but your iron is still low. You would want to rule out stuff like parasites, which you can find through the live blood analysis. Most doctors will not take a poo sample for parasites. Again, it's just not something they think about. They're not thinking about preventative, right? They're not thinking about like deep down root cause, or they just don't have enough time. And then celiac, maybe there is also if it's going on and on and on and you can't get to root cause. I know this from personal experience, is this individual ended up having celiac disease, and it took the 8 years for the medical system to actually diagnose it properly. So we're sharing this, that just as an awareness to like not be okay with low iron. What else? Thyroid's a big one for women to be testing it. They typically will only test TSH, but there are other thyroid markers. And again, most of the medical community will only test TSH. And I've talked to my own medical doctor, and she's like, if the TSH is in normal range, we've been taught not to do any testing beyond that. But what they haven't been taught above that is you can have a normal TSH, but then you can have T3, T4, reverse T3 all off. And there's something that you can do about it. So that's why you got to go deeper, usually with, like a naturopathic doctor. We mentioned live blood analysis. That's a test that usually a naturopath or functional medicine clinic will have, or a nutritionist. That's really cool. It's been part of my life for almost 20 years. I love it. My kids love it. My kids love it, especially because in that moment they can see, oh, wow, either, the doctor is explaining like you look like you've either got low iron or low B, or it looks like you're not digesting your protein well, or it looks like your red blood cells aren't equal and they're sticky, which means you're dehydrated. Like there's a level of communication that instantly how your body is showing up. And I know you've done it as well, Melissa, too. And it's powerful. So again, it's empowering. I go back to, I want to empower you, know your numbers. And I know for me, because I've been going through the journey of hormone therapy, bioidentical hormone therapy with my hormone doctor, we do my blood testing about every 4 to 6 months in the beginning, that first year, because when you're doing hormone therapy, she really wants to make sure that what I'm feeling in my body is showing up in my blood work with my hormones. So it's kind of like, okay, your testosterone's still a little bit low. What dose are we at? Can we up it? How do you feel? And you really want to be working with a good practitioner that is really caring for what you feel, but also for what your blood shows. And it was interesting because she recently told me that, let's say a testosterone level of 3 in my body might feel different in Melissa's body.
Right.
So you can look at blood, but at the end of the day, the most important thing is, how do you feel?
Right.
How do you feel? Right now, I know that my vitamin D, after I got my blood work done just maybe 6 weeks ago, I'm at 200. I'm at optimal range. Like that little bit of information for me, I kind of like, my shoulders go up a little bit and I'm like, I'm a rock star, got my vitamin D up, don't need to tweak it, doing really good. Iron, highest it's been in years. I'm at 89. I've been hovering. I've been down as low as the teens. I've been as high as 50s through my cycle. Now I'm at 89. I'm like, whoa. I'm like, I get excited. I get excited because I'm like, and I feel it in my body. I have more energy in my body, more vitality in my body. And so, yeah, blood testing. Anything else you want to say on that, Melissa, before we wrap up?
Yeah, I hope women who are listening think, maybe I could feel better. Like these things that we think are normal are not. Like use your intuition, girls. You're like, I feel tired all the time. Or why am I dizzy when I get up? go and investigate that. And the live blood analysis, that's a super cheap and quick way. Lots of health food stores even offer that, where you just make an appointment and you can walk in and get that done. And you sit down with them right away, and you're in a health food store, so you can get whatever supplement if need be, and start noticing difference right away. So don't settle for just feeling okay. We want you to feel great and excited and alive and have energy most of the time. I mean, sure, we get tired and whatever, excuse me, but for the most part, you should feel great and ready to do whatever.
Yeah.
And it shouldn't hurt. All those things too. So,
Yeah,
yep.
for sure. And the one last thing I want to say that like Melissa and I teach in our fasting program uh, is your blood sugar. So that's a big test that you need to stay on top of. So you have your fasting blood glucose. Okay. So making sure that you are not setting yourself up for pre-diabetes and diabetes. So you want to keep your numbers in a good range that isn't like going up. So usually around that, like 5.0 is, kind of where a lot of women will land in healthy blood sugar or below for fasting. And then you have your hemoglobin AG1, and that is a measurement of your 3 months blood sugar. And that one is so important. It literally will give you a highlight of how you showed up for you in the last 3 months. So my number was 5.2 on that number. Is that good? My hormone doctor said, I am so happy. Your blood sugar is perfect. Now, if you read the textbooks and you follow some of the health professionals, they would like to see it under 5 for like really good. But my hormone doctor said she rarely sees it under 5.0 in a midlife woman. So she's like, be kind to yourself. Don't beat yourself up. I mean, she's like, keep on working on your blood sugar. And Melissa and I will tell you, we're going to give you 2 hacks to work on your blood sugar. The first hack I'm going to share, and then she'll end it with her expertise on it. But the first one is the stress. So stress will increase your blood sugar. So you can have the most perfect paleo keto meal, under 20 grams of net carb, and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm a rock star. And then all of a sudden, shit hits the fan and you are going from 0 to 10 for stress, whatever that is, your blood sugar will spike. Okay. So be aware of that. Find some stress techniques right away when you get stressed. And what is the hack that they can do right away after they've eaten and they're friggin' stressed and their blood sugar is through the roof?
Right. So when we are stressed, that our body produces or releases cortisol because it means we need to fight or flight. So our body is ready to go. Oh my gosh. So that means you should be moving so that you can use that cortisol, and it's going to lower your blood sugar levels. So move, just go for a walk. 10 minutes, it's going to bring those levels down. It's also going to bring your cortisol levels down, because if you don't, that cortisol has to go somewhere. And its favorite place where it loves to hang out is our fat cells. So move when cortisol is happening because we're stressed. Move, move, move. And same when we're eating. Move, move, move. Think you're fueling your body with food. You've got fuel. Go move.
Awesome. Thank you. So if you've loved this video, if you love our information, make sure to follow us on our YouTube channel. We also have our Menopause Sisterhood on Facebook, and comment. We love to hear your comments. So when you open this up and it turns into YouTube, you get all of those comments. We want to hear from you, that we're not just talking to the wall, that you guys actually are loving our content. And we just really appreciate you sharing and caring and giving us feedback.
Thanks,
Thanks,
guys.
everyone.